I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004. This is part 2 with Josh Kohen of Mobile Assault Platoon 2.
But yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the night that Morris got hit.
Please do. I would love to hear your perspective, especially since you were also pretty seriously wounded that night too.
Yeah, I mean, luckily none of my injuries were, life-threatening or anything like that. It took me a lot of years to really kind of play back some of those nights. I think after I got out of the Marine Corps, when you kind of start realizing like the severity of some of the things that you did or went through, and you're like, oh wow, like that actually happened.
Yeah.
And I think for a long time, I also was like really upset. So Morris and I were close, just like, I think anyone in your platoon, but we actually had like an argument the night before. And I struggled with that for a long time. And I mean, it was over like something stupid. It was over Firewatch. I think like 2 nights before, I want to say someone else was like late to Firewatch or like didn't get up. So like I stayed on like an extra half hour. And then like the next day Morris was on, he went to go wake me up. And I was like, no, screw it. I stayed an extra half hour. Like you're on now, you stay on. And then we kind of got in like a little argument about it. I don't think anything more than what, any, platoon full of Marines living in a hooch for a few months would argue over. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of stupid stuff. But I remember like that was probably one of the last like serious conversations I had with Morris. And I always think like that was hard for a long time just to think about that. Like, oh shit, that was like my final memory with him. But yeah, that night we went out. I don't really remember exactly what there was a reason we were going out there to do like a nighttime vehicle checkpoint. There was definitely a reason. It was around Saddam's mosque. Earlier in the evening, I'll never forget it. Matroka and I were out there, and we pulled over a car. We asked the car to stop, and we popped his trunk, and there was like a bunny, like there was like they had stuffed animals. I don't know if it's like old stuffed animals, but it was like one of those ones where like you pressed it made a sound. So he had like a box or something in the back in his trunk with like a bunch of them in there, and we picked it up. And we were like looking through it. And we're like, oh shit. And then like we kind of like unzipped it and there was like a battery attached to it, like a 9-volt battery. And we were looking at each other like, holy shit, is this an IED or something or a VBIED? And like kind of bugged out. And then the driver was like, no, like he was trying to basically tell us like he sells like stuffed animals or whatever. So they eventually like left and we were fine.
That poor guy's life flashed before his eyes.
Well, mine and Matroka's did too. We were sitting there like, we had this like, I don't remember if it was like pink or white, but like this stuffed animal and this like 9-volt battery in it. We're like, oh shit. Like, I'm like holding it in my hand. And then I remember like the trucks were pretty spread out. We were doing this like, again, checkpoint. It was right around Saddam's mosque. And we had so many kids. And I think at one point we were like taking the candy or whatever we had and we were like throwing it away so that the kids would like go fetch it, but we didn't want them to come back. Like they would literally, and then I think like someone was like showing them some videos and there was just like there was a ton of them. And then out of nowhere, they just like dispersed. It was like, oh shit, there's like no one around and it got quiet. And I don't remember exactly what, Morris said like, hey, I need a break or I need to go to the bathroom or there was a reason that him and I switched spots. So I was standing basically right where he was standing about a minute before the RPG came.
Yep.
Maybe 2 minutes. And I don't remember what it was. If he said he had to, go use the head or something like that. And I'll never forget it. Like I was like, hang on, let me just like, I wanted to like smoke a cigarette. So I was like off by the side, like smoke a cigarette. I was like, oh, let me go finish the cigarette. And I went and, finished it and came back over by the truck, and I was standing there and he was coming out, and then he came out and I handed him my rifle. And he handed me his pistol. And then I went up in the gun. I went up in the turret. And now I think it probably only a few minutes. Like literally, I don't think it was very long. I don't even think I was able to like get like my sights checked on the toe. Like I don't even think I looked in it yet. And the RPG came, and obviously he took the brunt of it. I think probably it would have been I would have been a lot worse if he hadn't. Essentially, I guess like he saved us. And I was in similar to the Abram, like I was in the turret 1 second, and then the next second I wasn't completely like thrown out of the truck. I was kind of thrown into the back. And I remember literally just hearing the noise, feeling the blast, and I remember it happening so fast. Then I started hearing the crackling of the a fire or of a AK fire, and I remember literally taking my hands and like touching my legs, like patting my legs and then like patting my arms, and I'm like, okay. And at this point, like we had seen a bunch of people get pretty hurt, pretty mangled in some place, I remember like, okay, I have my legs, I have my arms, and like I like kind of like came back too, like I was a little dazed, and I remember kind of crawling out of the side door behind the driver, like the driver's side back door, and just crouching down kind of behind a tire, because the truck was just getting lit up, and I didn't have a weapon. I had a pistol. And I remember kind of coming back over, and I think Miranda had just came up, and I looked at him and I looked at Morris, and I remember just saying like, I'm sorry. And I had to take my rifle from him. Because he had it. It was like slung around him, and it was, I had to take it off of him, to get it, because Miranda at that point was like, the doc came running over. And at that point, I want to say both Miranda and I were like, we weren't in the prone. I think we were like on a knee, like right in front of them, just shooting. And then we had, we kind of ran out into the street a little bit. We saw like a white pickup truck like pull out, and him and I were just trying to light it up. I don't think we ever confirmed if we hit the guy. The car kept going, but at one point we did see some like blood splatter. So we're like, I think we thought we hit one of them or both of them, or the truck kept going though. And then after that, I like, I kind of looked around. My leg was bleeding. Actually, a piece of shrapnel. I've scarred it. A piece of shrapnel was like, I want to say like a centimeter from my eye. Like I have a little scar next to my eye. But I didn't have any like real serious injuries. I remember like the adrenaline too was like, I didn't feel anything. And then I remember we went back to, I forgot which base it was. And yeah, and I think they pulled out some shrapnel. I had a piece still left in my leg for a long time. And actually there's like this new thing with the VA now, they try to go and like, I think they're like trying to identify veterans that still have shrapnel in them. And like, but yeah, so they called me like a year or two ago, and they were like, hey, would you be willing to like come and have it be checked to see if it's still in there? And I'm like, a doctor told me many years ago, like, if it's still in there, like, don't move it, because you don't know what it's next to. So I was like, I think I'm gonna pass on this one. But yeah, that was kind of what I remember. I remember getting patched up, and then I remember going back to our base and our hooch, and we were all kind of just waiting to hear about Morris. From my recollection, he made it through to the air vac. I mean, and then I think he made it even to like when they landed. And then if I'm not mistaken, he died in surgery. I don't know exactly where. But yeah, that was a tough night. It was a tough night. It was obviously a huge hit for our platoon, for his family. And it was just hard to get hit like that. But yeah, that's kind of my memory of it. And then I think like the next day, if I'm not mistaken, again, it was like the next day or maybe a day and a half later, like all hell kind of broke loose for all of us. And I remember Staff Sergeant told me I wasn't allowed to go out on patrol because I was technically like still bedridden or whatever they were,
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I kind of hopped in the truck anyway. And I remember Staff Sergeant being out there and being like, I fucking told you not to come out. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like my whole platoon is leaving. Like, um, like we just got hit. Now we're going back out. There's a bunch of other Marines pinned down. Like I'm fine. The injuries were more like flesh wounds. They weren't severe. Yeah. And then it like popped off for like 2 more days.
Yeah. Yeah. The very next morning, we took, I don't remember who, we took someone out because they wanted to see the site of the ambush, which was wonderful. Everybody's blood was fucking boiling when we had to go out there, and we went out there.
Yeah,
they
I
took
didn't go
some
for that.
pictures. Yeah. They took some pictures, and we were there for a little bit. Our company CO was with us, Captain Weiler. And then it wasn't long. Like it was a very short op, whatever it was. And then we went back to Hurricane Point. And we were still on night taskable or whatever, night QRF or whatever we were on. And so everybody went back to sleep. And then the next day was April 6th. And
yeah, and
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, again, like I think it was like map 3 that was on day QRF, and they already went out and they got into some shit, and then we were on night QRF, and we were like, fuck this, you got to send us. And we were all like ready in our trucks, ready to go. And they were like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally at some point they like let us go.
Yeah.
And again, some of the little battles or some of the battles get a little, blurry, but there was one where we pulled down a street and we dismounted. And I don't remember if the RPG came, and it was when I think you and Mosey shot I don't remember if it was the toe or whatever. You guys shot something at a mosque. They were basically popping out behind the wall of a mosque and just shooting us with RPGs and gunfire. And you guys, I think it was a toe, or an AT4. I don't really remember.
It was a toe.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I remember we were bouncing from house to house, and it was me and Big Boy, and we got we were running behind like a truck that was parked on the side, and RPG came and like knocked us over, and I'll never forget it. He like lifted me up by my flak jacket with like one hand. Like I tripped from the blast, and he like lifted me up like by my flak jacket. He's like, "Get up, Kohen." And I was like, "All right." And he like lifted me up, and I was running with and then like shortly after that, Bill was still at the truck, and an RPG came. I don't know if it went like right under the truck or it hit us like right in the grill, but like it didn't explode.
Yeah.
It just was like stuck there, and we were looking at it, we're like, holy shit. Are you kidding me? Like, and I don't know if it was like slid right under the truck or if it was in the grill. I really don't remember, but I just remember us sitting there and like, holy shit, we just got really lucky. Like that thing hit dead on.
Yeah. Yeah. All that stuff was April 7th because we didn't even have tow missiles on April 6th. But I don't know how many RPGs they fired on the 7th, but I mean, 20, 30, 40. I mean, just so many. It was constant. Yeah. It felt like every few minutes there was a new one coming down, and some blew up and some didn't. and you didn't.
No, there was
definitely
a few that blew on us. There was definitely a few that blew on us. So was the 6th when we went down by the river when I think it was a golf company was pinned down?
It was.
I remember
Echo Company and the one of the sniper teams. Yeah,
that's right. Echo Company. Yeah, they were pinned down there, and that's where we were. And I remember at that point, I think we were even like doing some like plunging fire. Like we were like going into all those like huts. Yeah. I remember, kicking down or running into some of those like doors and trying to find like where they might be.
Yeah. Well, specifically by that point. So once we had finally we were engaged for hours prior to that because we couldn't get to them. We were separated by, I mean, literally the enemy was a wall of enemy between us and them. And we had taken the pressure off of them. The enemy was focusing more on us, I guess. I don't know. Maybe from the stories, it sounds like they were still engaged, but we had a large force after us. But it was, I'm going to mess up his name. I believe it's Woodall or Woodwall or Woodward. I think it's Woodall, was lost. They were calling over the radio that he was missing in action, potentially taken by the enemy. And that's when we got there. It was a frenzy of people kicking down doors. Yeah. And we found guys everywhere. There were most of them were in pairs with the exception of him. He was by himself.
Yeah, I remember that. And at one point we had like all of our gun trucks lined up.
Yeah.
On the road, and we were like literally just firing at anything that moved that wasn't us.
Yep.
And we were, I guess, I don't remember if we were looking for him or just
it was definitely a crazy time. But yeah, I get those 2 days a little confused. I mean, those kind of battles all just blur together at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a wild couple days.
Just a weird question because I've kind of been asking everybody something similar to this, but I'm going to ask you a different version of it. You remember any specific stories of anything you saw anybody do that seemed a little over the top, a little extra, like maybe heroic or impressive or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, I would think so. I mean, listen, there's probably I'd have to think about, like, there are definitely some, like, again, like thinking about Big Boy, like when that RPG came past the truck and like blew up, like he literally, like I fell and he literally just like picked me up one arm, and it wasn't even just the RPG, like that RPG came and then it was, rapid fire right after, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just the RPG. And I'm not even kidding you. It's like some crazy, like Superman strength that came out of him, where I was like on the ground and just one arm just lifted me up and was like, "Let's go, Kohen," like kind of yelling. But I'm sure if I had a little bit of time to think through that a little bit, I could probably come up with a bunch.
But I did kind of put you on the spot, but I was just curious, just in general.
But thinking back now, right, and putting myself in like the life I have now and thinking about like even just some of the planning that you guys did. Like I was never really privy or part of that. Like thinking back to like our leaders, right? Our NCOs brought us all home through some crazy shit. Just even like, and I know we were a weapons company and in trucks and we had heavy guns and stuff like that, but we were basically like driving targets. Right. Like we were, we weren't sitting targets, but our trucks at certain points definitely were. So just like thinking through that now, like how you guys navigated us through that 6 months, is super impressive. Right. And definitely above and beyond. Right. Like even if I think about it now, like I said, I can't go anywhere that weighs. Thinking about navigating that and the calm and the things that had to happen so that we all came back, or most of us came back safely, is like that's super impressive, in itself. But yeah, I think if I had a little more time to think through that, I could probably think of some more and honestly, as I listen to more podcasts, like more memories come back. There are definitely certain things that like I forgot happened, and then you think through and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I remember that. Like I don't know. I think it might have been Miranda told a story about when we did that bug hunt.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been Miranda or Gro. It was somebody told it, and it was actually my 21st birthday that day.
Nice.
So that story they were telling when they were up on the roof and the guy like blew through like our concertina wire.
Yeah.
I was on the saw. I wasn't on the 240. It was a saw. So I carried that for a while. And I was like dying to light him up. Like I was like, I remember I think it was Matroka. I was like, Corporal, can I shoot? Like I was like, I just wanted to light up that car. And he was like, no. and it ended up being that the guy just had like glaucoma, right?
Yeah.
But if you kind of fast forward through that, and again, I won't use their names, but there were two Marines that through that day had some I don't know if they were enemy or civilians. They were walking back and they had a couple tall boy Heinekens, and we confiscated those. They were voluntold to give them up.
I'm seeing a pattern here, Cohen. Just
yeah. Well, I didn't know about this one. I remember, that certain Marine coming up on the roof, and he was like, "Cohen, go get some water." I'm like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "I wasn't really asking you." And I was like, "All right." And I like opened the cooler, and there was like 3 or 4 tall boy Heinekens in there. I was like, "No way." And then we went back to the our smoke pit, and I remember just getting like really, really, really buzzed off of like 3/4 of a beer.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, it'd been months. We were dehydrated, but we haven't drank in months and dehydrated as can be. And I look at that now, like some people have their 21st birthday story, like out at a bar, they black out and whatever. And I'm like, well, my 21st birthday, I was up on a rooftop behind a squad automatic weapon, almost shot a guy that was blind, and then I think we drank like 2 beers, each, and just, had a great time. So yeah, there was, like I said, like those, I don't think I ever fully remembered the story until, and I think it was Miranda that talked about that day. And I was like, oh shit, that was my birthday. That's when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was June 1st. So, what is that now? Like 20 something years ago, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of funny.
Well, let's see. I'll give you a couple more and see if anything jogs your memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, actually, here's an easier way. Do you remember any of our like sort of long distance missions? Anything that stands out? Because we ran all over the place. We had a mission where we ran about, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 clicks north of the city to go rescue an army unit where their Humvee had been blown up. We went out to Takatam Air Base a bunch.
Yeah, I remember going out to the air base. I think we did a couple mail runs, right? That was what we like the mail runs we did.
Oh, that's right.
So the mail trucks got blown up a couple times, and
Yeah.
then we started doing individual mail runs because otherwise our guys weren't going to get their mail. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
and all
I
of us
forgot about
wanted
that.
like the I remember Newmeyer getting like deer jerky and shit
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And we're like, dude, we'll go get that shit. We like, like
Yeah.
not letting that shit get blown up. Like we really wanted our protein bars and our magazines and shit like that. So yes,
Dude.
I do remember a few of those.
We lived out of, I don't know about you, but most of us lived out of our mail because the fucking chow was awful. So yeah.
I'll never forget on July 4th weekend, which is also the weekend that I broke my jaw. They brought like steaks. I don't even know what kind of steak it was. Honestly, it was so like raw that I even want to say it was like me and Newmeyer and Groves. Like we were cooking it outside the chow hall with a lighter. Like we literally had a lighter. We were holding the steaks and like cooking them because it was just like disgusting. It was like, oh, here. I remember we walked up. We're like, yeah, I'll just take one. And we were out there just cooking it. Yes, I do remember living out of our mail. Living on protein bars and protein bars is a big one. I think at one point I just gave up and started eating MREs. Like I would think I was trying my hardest to not eat MREs, and then I just had to like give in and do it. And and the was it chili mac and cheese or something like that? I remember it was so good, but it was like so dangerous for you.
The spaghetti with some jalapeno cheese in it. That was some
exactly
high quality shit.
Everybody had their choice main meal, and everybody avoided the 4 fingers of death. And so I would take it. I would eat those nasty ass fucking sausages. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's something give me heartburn like immediately.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about the MREs was like that instant coffee, and we would make it in like the water,
Oh.
like the 1 liter water bottles. Like
Yes.
that, and it was kind of funny because like prior to that, I don't think I ever drank like iced coffee or cold coffee ever. And then like there, we would literally put it into those like liter water bottles. You'd like collect a few of them, and you would take that out because sometimes we'd go out of the wire and it'd be like we'd be out there for hours.
Yep.
And you might have been on very little sleep, so you would just be drinking that thing like it was a bottle of water. And fast forward, I love iced coffee, so
So
might have come from that.
My little trick that I would do is I would get the cocoa packet and I would put 2 of the instant coffees in it, a cream and a sugar in there, and then put a little bit of water and mix it together. And it was like this fucking amazing, like icing pudding thing. It was like high class living, man.
Yeah, definitely high class living. I'll tell you that much.
I don't remember who it was in map 3, but somebody's mom or grandma or something had sent them coffee beans, but no grinder or anything else. And so I would trade some of my jerky or whatever the fuck I had for coffee beans. And when we'd go out on ops, I'd be chewing a coffee bean like a dip just to get the caffeine out of it. Oh God. But I loved it. I still will do that to this day. If I can get a coffee bean and throw it in my lip, I love it.
Do you guys remember when we wrote Philip Morris?
Yes.
Like the tobacco company. So that was I don't remember who it was. It was one of our ideas, and we all like kind of put a letter together and wrote them. And it was like within a couple weeks, we got boxes and boxes of sample. It was like the sample sizes of dip, like skull, like it was like 2 pinches in a thing. And then the small cigarette boxes,
the 4-packs. They had only 4 cigarettes in it.
They were like, I think they wrote us back being like, we can't send you, like legally can't send you like full sizes, but we sent you a bunch of samples. And it was like a few boxes worth of like dip and cigarettes. I mean, listen, I think back now and like there were definitely times we were out on patrol. I'd have a dip in my mouth, and at one point, some be like, all right, you can smoke. I'm like, well, I just put a dip in. I'm not going to waste this. Smoke a cigarette with a dip in your mouth. Yeah, it was like I said, we did some wild things. But yeah, I definitely remember some of those longer patrols or longer missions. The mail truck one is definitely, and I think we went to, what is it, El Asad Air Base?
We went to Al Asad once or twice. At least for us, we went to Al Asad to pick up equipment one time, and we went to Camp Fallujah to pick up Humvees.
Well, that was the one. That was the one. The Humvees we picked up was when they like dropped them in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
You guys remember? And they were everything was in Hebrew, because basically GM was selling the Humvees to Israel, and Israel was up armoring them because they had more of this like combat urban environment experience. So, and we didn't have anything. So when those Humvees, those up armored Humvees came, they were all from Israel. They were dropping them in like the middle of the desert. I remember we were sitting there and like they were just falling out of the sky.
Yeah. And
then we popped them open. I'm like, wait, this alternator's got Hebrew writing on it. Like
that was the thing. We had to take grinders, and we were grinding the Star of David and the Hebrew off of the door panels and shit. Because I was like, we open our doors, they're gonna fucking kill us.
Yeah, that was I forgot about that one, but I do remember that now. That was interesting. I mean, listen, just thinking about Humvees falling out of the sky in the middle of the desert is also kind of interesting in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually had a weird experience. I don't want to call it weird, but funny experience. So I think it was, I don't know, we had EOD up on like some hill. We got hit pretty hard. Not our platoon. I think EOD did, and we were medevacing them. And then on our way to one of the outposts, a VBIED went off right in front of. I think it was Echo Company.
Okay.
And,
that was the day the engineers got hit by an IED on the dam. Yeah.
Yep. So we were up there, and I was with Groves a lot. And him and I were like running with this guy on a stretcher, and we got him in to the one of the medical vehicles that went back. Yeah. And then we were kind of by ourselves. We had our truck with us. We were kind of by ourselves.
Well, you guys got ditched because it was me. The medical vehicles you're describing were me and your vehicle, Hardin. And I think Hardin is the one that drove it. We just threw everybody in the high back and drove like hell.
Yeah, and then so well, Bill and I still had the high bat. We had a vehicle,
Okay.
and then we heard the VBID go off.
Yeah, we were up on the
and
Overwatch position.
yeah, and we were like, we gotta fucking go. Like we knew something bad happened. And I remember him and I pulled up. We were like, it was me, him, and Doc. We were like the first ones to get there. And I remember one of us came over the radio and we're like, there's just, and I don't want to describe it for everyone else, but it was people were mangled. It was bad.
Yep.
And we started, putting people we started getting like people that could still like walk or, that were still conscious, like into our truck. And I remember him and I having like make decision, like we were basically by ourselves. You guys were in another truck. We didn't have anyone with us, and we're like, fuck it, we got to get these guys medevac. And we brought them. I think it was Echo Company. I forgot the name of that base, but
Combat Outpost. Yeah.
Combat Outpost. Yeah. So we got them there, and we were sitting there, and it was just like truck after truck coming in with medevacs, and everyone was kind of running like crazy. At some point, there was like nothing more we could do, right? And I remember sitting there, and we were just like, they had this little area that was like kind of secure, so we had the truck parked like up against it, and we were like maybe leaning against like the tire, just like kind of just trying to process everything that just happened. And all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, wait, what? And it was my buddy from high school. He was walking right past me, and he was a combat replacement from 3-5. Part of the reason I joined the Marine Corps was because of him. And part of the reason he came to 2-4, which I didn't know. Apparently, he had wrote me a letter, but I don't think we had got it. And he was with 3-5. He was deployed. He came home, and then 2-4 needed combat replacements. And he was like, "Fuck it, my boy Josh is there. I'm gonna go." And I ran into him. I had no idea. I didn't know he was part of 2-4. I didn't know he came out as a combat replacement.
Small world.
And I look up and I'm like, Dimmick? And he's like, and I remember he was like getting ready to go out on patrol. So we had like 2 minutes. We like gave each other a hug, like talked for like a minute, and then he went out on patrol. And I didn't really see him again till the end of deployment, till you guys came back.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, dude. And I remember getting home and like, because I got home, I think it was probably like, when did you guys officially leave there? Was it like early September?
Yeah, September 12th was that
was the last day of our last day.
Yeah, last day of operations. We left from Al Assad September 14th, 16th, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so I got home like I got back to Camp Pendleton like mid to late July. So it was a few weeks before you guys, and I remember just reaching out to his family and being like, "Hey, I saw him. Like I don't know anything more than that, but I saw him, for like a good 5 minutes." And it was actually kind of funny. Recently, I mean, he's a cop locally, and recently him and I just like caught back up again, and I said to him like, I'm like, "Do you remember that day?" He was like, "Yeah, dude." He's like, "We were getting ready to go out on patrol, and all of a sudden I hear, someone used my first and last name, and he's like, I turned around, it was you." I was like, I couldn't fucking believe what I was like. At one point, I had to be like, wait a minute, am I seeing things? Like, is this really him? Like, is my mind playing tricks on me right now? But it was him. Yeah. So I ran into that, and that was that day. That day was bad. Those guys got pretty messed up.
Yeah, again, that was, I think, if I remember correctly, that was the second most KIA that had happened to a U.S. unit ever, which the first most was also Echo Company, unfortunately, during April 6th, during the ambush. And
yeah, do you remember when that was? When those engineers got,
May 29th.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. The morning started with the engineers having to sweep the dam for IEDs, and they were doing it with metal detectors. And we were providing
right on them, right? We were like right behind them.
Yep. One of them was standing there. You guys ran them down. So that was the technical challenge of it was that there were some vehicles down on the road, which was my section, and you were part of my section. I don't know why you were up there. Maybe just providing security. But
we might have ran up there after.
You might have,
like,
because Lopez ran up there too. So
yeah, so I think we took like a stretcher and ran up there. I don't know if we were there, the whole time. I remember, bringing a stretcher down with somebody on it. I don't remember if it was like we started up there, or we ran up there with it and ran back.
Which, by the way, kudos to you then if you ran straight up that damn dirt hill, because that thing was, I mean, straight up. It's like, yeah, like climbing a ladder of just dirt, and it was 30 feet high or whatever it was. So, but that was again, I'm always interested in the awards process. Someone just brought it up to me, and in any other day, right? Those two guys got blown up by an IED. You, Groves, Lopez, Miranda, Doc, at least. Those are the people I know for sure, with no regard to their own safety, no worry about secondary explosives or contact, just ran straight up, threw them on stretchers, brought them down to the street where we could evac them, and evac all those casualties. We reconvened with the XO up on the Overwatch position that was by the cemetery, which is what you remember.
Yeah.
And then that was when the VBIED blew up on the Echo Company.
That's right.
On the Echo Company patrol.
I think you know what? Now that I'm like coming back, I think Groves and I were following your truck back. Like I think you guys had casualties in your truck, and we were like right behind you when the VBIED went off. And then you guys kept going maybe into the combat outpost, and we pulled over.
No, I mean, maybe. I don't know what happened, but I know we were all first on scene because I was there for that VBIED as well. I think I pushed all the way to the far west end, and you guys were on the east end, if I remember correctly. But it was chaos, so my memory may not be clear.
I remember taking out that like combat medic, pack or
the emergency pack.
The emergency pack, and being like, "There's nothing in here that can help us right now. Like this is just way too much. Like it wasn't like we weren't trying to stop bleeding. Like this was like we were trying to find body parts."
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember that being like, we're looking for like someone's arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a day.
It's funny you say that earlier. Like, if we look back now, I think about the war, like looking back now, like I don't ever think that even crossed any of our minds. Like, are we in danger? I think you just did it, right? Like, and maybe we were like young, and even not in like combat situations, right? You're young and stupid. You do kind of crazy things that fast forward 20 something years, you probably wouldn't do today. There's probably a bunch of trees I wouldn't have jumped off of. I wouldn't jump off of at 43 versus when I was 18. And I think it's kind of the same in that point in life, right? Like, I don't even think we did anything that we thought was like that great, right? We were just doing what we thought needed to be done, right, at the time. And it was like, oh shit, there's people over there that are hurt. We have to go help them, right? And I think that just becomes like instinctual at some point. You don't even think about that, like, oh wow, there could be a secondary VBIED, or it could be an ambush, or you're like, hey, those Marines need to get medevac. Let's just get there, right? And I don't think anyone did, like, I'm sure people did, like, did really heroic things, but thinking back on it now is probably just more of like, that was just instinctual at that time. Like that was what we had to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. You didn't think about what you were doing at the time that was any big deal, but it certainly is.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, there was definitely some cases, I think, throughout all of our time there, that like, if we didn't get there when we got there, didn't medevac someone, it might have changed the outcome versus made the outcome a lot better.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things that happened in June. I'll refresh your memory and see if you remember anything about it.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely curious to hear your journey in July, but we'll start with June. So it's a couple things in June. There was a big bug hunt. It was the biggest, longest bug hunt that I can recall. It was bug hunt number 2, and that started before sunup and before sundown on June 1st. On June 7th,
I was drunk that night, so So that was my 21st birthday.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. You already talked about that one. June 7th was when General Mattis and his LAV convoy was attacked out on Racetrack Road, and we responded as QRF. There was June 8th there was those gas shells that hit Hurricane Point, went into the gas went into the mortar's hooch, and then also hit the palace. The snipers were killed on June 21st. And
yeah,
then,
the sniper ones I definitely remember. Some of the, I mean, I think there was somewhere in there, and I think it had to do with maybe the sniper, so maybe it was right after, where there were some, let's call them, I guess, spooks that came in, and they were going like house to house in the middle of the night. I don't know. I don't think I was close enough. I don't know if they were grabbing people or looking. I think it was right after the snipers, if I'm not mistaken. It was right around that time. And I remember doing some wild nighttime patrols where we're like completely under the cover of dark. We were like getting these guys into like houses. And I think a few of us, if I'm not mistaken, were even like dressed up like in robes and like and the right like the attire to kind of blend in. I wasn't, but I remember a couple guys were.
yeah, I mean that was when we had sent a 10-man attachment from us to Delta, and Delta was using our guys, our Marines.
Yeah,
that was Sakaki and Neil and a bunch of other guys, Langford and a bunch of other guys.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. So I think that was like kind of that time frame. Yeah, I mean, like I said, some of it's a blur. I don't have too many memories. And I'm sure if you went into like specific things, you would. I will tell you what though, one of my biggest memories is the smell of burning rubber, like from those nights when they, if you remember, I think they would use it. They would burn rubber, burn tires, usually around like where we were set up. We'd all of a sudden see like a burning tire somewhere. That smell and burning trash and rubber, that smell from those nights, I'll never forget that. If I ever smell it now, like it takes me right back to Ramadi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've sometimes you see like you tires on fire or something, you'll smell it. I'm like, oh my god, that reminds me of Iraq.
Well, you mentioned it before. I guess I didn't realize it was July 4th, but I'm actually glad you told me. I knew it was in July. I remember it was hot, but I didn't remember when. You got into a heated volleyball game, and
we got into it was right after we cooked the steaks with our lighters. And I think we were playing map 3. We were going against them, and I think it was Webster and I both, like, I dove for the ball and basically dove into his shoulder. And he just completely broke, and my jaw just broke. And it was like 2 days. And it was like 2 days after, or a day and a half, maybe it was. We were trying to figure out like if I could stay, and they were like, "No, we got to send you to." I think I might have went to El Asad. That's I think where I went first. But it was by like they heloed me there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I spent like 2 or 3 days there, I think. And they were just trying to decide whether to like wire it shut or leave it, because it was like a high up fracture. So wiring it shut, like for like the long term, like I don't remember exactly, but there's like different ways to break your jaw. And like a higher fracture, you're not supposed to wire shut because it doesn't help the healing process. So they decided not to. And then from there, I think that again, now it had to have been like probably July 7th or 8th at some point. They sent me to Germany. And from there, I went to had x-rays and went to the hospital there and Frankfurt, I think it was. I probably spent about a week there, week and a half, just waiting. And then I actually knew you guys were coming home, I think, before you guys did, because the whole point of me going there was to basically come back to the unit. Was like they were like, hey, you're not going to be able to go back to like combat operation. We send you back to your unit, and I figured I'd go, working the headquarter, hooch or whatever. And then there was some like rule. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you guys didn't have like enough time left for me to come back. So maybe it was like under 6 weeks or 7, whatever it was. And that's how we knew. I was like, oh shit, they're gonna come home. They're coming home, and like I think we thought it was like the end of August, because this was like, again, now I'm like almost in mid-July.
Okay.
And so like, hey, we're gonna send you home. As there was a couple others that came back too as like the early, I forgot what they called it.
An advance party?
An advance party, yeah. So like, hey, we're just gonna send you with the advance party. And then I got back to Camp Pendleton, which took a couple of days. And then like a couple of days after that, like maybe 4 or 5 days after that, the actual advance party came back to Camp Pendleton.
Interesting.
So I was like a couple of days ahead of them, which is why they were like, we're not sending you back. And then we basically helped get like the barracks ready, and full transparency. It was like kind of like a vacation. Like we couldn't really do anything, but there was like 12 of us.
Yeah.
And Camp Pendleton was like a ghost town.
Sure.
So there wasn't much to do. And we just kind of like hung out and waited, I think, for you guys to get back. And then like I didn't remember exactly when it was. I think it was late August or mid-September, something like that. But yeah, that's what it was. It was me and Webster. Just I dove for the ball, and I dove like right into his shoulder, and it just snapped. That was it.
I like how modest you are, and you're not like trying to be a tough guy, which is really funny, but that's not how I remembered it all as far as the cup. Like the first day, because you opened your mouth and it opened sideways.
Yeah.
It was an open fracture. Like Doc was looking in your mouth and like the bone's sticking out, and you're like, I don't care. I'm not leaving. And we're like, if you can't fucking eat and drink, you're like, you got to go, dude.
That's what it was. That's what it was. That's why it took like 2 or 3 days. I think they sent me to El Asad. Was that?
Well, you stayed with the platoon for a couple of days, and you're like, I'm fine. Yeah. I'll do it. You were like still smoking, and I was like, you shouldn't be smoking. And you're like, I'll be fine. Shut the fuck up. And I was like, okay.
My issue was they couldn't get me food. That was it. So like I remember being like trying to stay, and they got me like, I don't know, maybe it was like 5 or 6 of those like Ensure drinks, like the Ensure drinks.
That's
and they're like, listen, they're like, we're gonna have to send you because we don't have any more. And I was like, and it got to a point like you can't eat, And I think somewhere in that process, and I don't remember if you guys remember this, but like everyone like ran through our platoon, like we all got like, I think it was called like dysentery or whatever, like basically puking, and just it was like right after that I got that my jaw. So I think it was like we were already all like depleted. And Doc was like, hey, we don't have any more of these. Like we got like the only 5 that we had on base. And we can't, we can't not have you eat. So it was like a couple days, and that's when they sent me. And that's when I thought I was going to come back. I was like, all right, fine, I'll go get checked out. And then I remember from going like to El Asad, I was like, I'm going to get like another case of like Ensure. And I thought I was coming back. And then they were like, no, we're going to send you to Germany. And then even in Germany, I thought I was coming back. Yeah. And never made it back. I think there was like some guilt that I felt like not being able to be with you guys to the end. And that was hard. I remember that like when we were back before Oki, there was another unit. I don't know if it was 3-5 or 1-5 or going, and they were looking for people. And I remember like debating jumping on that like deployment. Because like, but I was like, that's not going to take away how I feel. Like that's going to be with somebody else. Right.
Right.
Like I kind of just wanted to finish the deployment with you guys. Yeah. But listen, it is what it is. You know, there's only so much you can control. But yeah, that was an interesting time. I mean, listen, I did it. Like I said, it was kind of fun to be on Camp Pendleton, waiting for you guys to come back. And there was probably like 12 people in the entire battalion that was there. Like it was like nobody. I remember like we'd have like formation in the morning, and then I'd go work out, and we'd try to figure out what to do with like the rest of the day. And then I remember we had to get the barracks ready for you guys.
Sure.
But after that was done, it was like, what are we going to do till they get back? So it was kind of nice to hang out for a few weeks before you guys got back. But I couldn't go home. So I couldn't, like, my family, I remember my family came out to see me, but I wasn't allowed to go home. Like, I went on leave the same time you guys got back.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I didn't get to like go home and hang out with family or anything like that. But I do remember there, and even I say now, like, there was definitely some guilt. I definitely wanted to finish the deployment with you guys, and that was tough.
Yeah, that you answered. That's why I stopped myself, is because you answered the question I was going to ask, is if you had any hard feelings about being there when nobody else was.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely did. And it wasn't any bad feelings that, like, anybody. Obviously, it was a complete accident, right? Probably more my fault than anything else. Like, who and why was I taking a volleyball game so seriously? I don't know.
Because you're a 21-year-old Marine. That's why.
Yeah, like, I was just being
it's life and death. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. And then listen, I got to tell you, and I don't know how much you get into it with other people. I will say, like, and I know people obviously stay in, but for the people that got out, like, that time frame in my life, I think really helped me. Depending on how you define success, right? Like, really helped me become successful in the second phase of my life.
Sure.
And I think that a lot of guys don't give themselves enough credit for that, or do enough comparison to the two. Like, listen, raising kids is a great thing. It's chaotic sometimes, right? And not trying to compare the two, but sometimes I sit there and I think about it when all the shit gets a little crazy at home. I'm like, I'll look at my wife and be like, hey, I've dealt with worse. Like, if this is what we have to deal with, we're good. And it helps you in those situations where there's definitely people that don't have those types of experiences, and they can't deal with it. So I definitely
100%.
cherish that time in my life. People ask me about it. I always say, like, and this probably doesn't sound great, but I'm like, it's like a Friday night football game. Like, you practice all week long, and then you get your game day. And I think that's what, it kind of, as messed up as that might sound, I think that's kind of what it felt like when we came home.
Yeah.
Was that, like, that was our, like, we planned, we trained, and then that was our game day.
Yep.
It's a good way to put it. And I mean, you're not wrong. It gives you perspective. That might be the crucial key. So I've mentioned this with other people on other podcasts. It's interesting to me how many people from weapons company went the full distance, became sergeant majors. There are some people from weapons company who are in very high key positions right now. I mean, obviously, General Weiler being an obvious example, but Sergeant Major Cook and other people who went into really high prestigious positions of advising different groups and stuff like that. Plenty of people who are successful in other aspects, right? You're successful in business. There's other people who are, have PhDs and have all this stuff. And just, I don't know, it's
who became doctors,
it's it's a fascinating group of people, and perspective might be the real key element of it. Cause no matter how bad it gets when you're right, you were talking about earlier, you're super busy with everything cause it's your summer busy season. Like, even then you're like, well, it's not that cold, and no one's shooting at me, and my jaw's not broken. I can eat something other than ensure, right? Like,
I agree. I mean, I find myself now, even 20-something years later, like, just kind of even checking myself. Like, sometimes I'm like, I'll get stressed out, and I'm like, you know what, dude, this is not worse. Like, we've handled stuff like this before, and not obviously in the same circumstances, right? But it helps. And I think that, like, when you kind of go down memory lane a little bit and start to remember some of these, individual moments or platoon moments, or just, the actual time you spent there, you start to realize, like, wow, we really did a lot. We put our bodies, our minds completely to the test, and I think, again, like, if you can separate the fact that one is combat and one is real life. Not that combat is not real life, but you're in the civilian world now. Like, I think it really helps put things into perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's helped me a tremendous amount, to be honest. I've always valued really valued my time with 2-4 with our platoon and our deployment. I really look back and again wish some of the outcomes could have been different, but I value that. I really do value that time, and think that like it was a good pathway to, again, being successful in what I'll call like, and everyone's success, meter is different.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
measure as success, and I think it really helped pave that way.
Well, whether you intended to or not, you wrapped this all up with a nice bow. Anything else you want to cover that we didn't cover? It's been a couple hours even.
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot. And again, listen, like I think when I first started hearing these, and I said it to you, I think when we talked last time, like the fact that you guys are doing this is amazing because, it's 20 years later, we're all a little bit older. You start to forget certain things. You start to forget names, as people you haven't spoke to. We mentioned some names today and some of the podcasts, like I haven't heard that person's name in so long. And then I have memories with them, even just in being in Camp Pendleton, right? Like I've got memories.
Mm-hmm.
There's people I haven't, and I don't want to say haven't thought about in a bad way, but like their name or, face hasn't come up in so long. And, go and listen to these and hearing some of the stories. I'm like, oh, well, remember that one time, went out hiking and did this, or remember that one time we went out and did that. Like there's other positive things that this is coming, or that comes from this. And I think it's great, man. I really am. I really don't talk about it a lot. And I was, a little hesitant, as you obviously could see. But then like, I was like, you know what, this has brought me joy. And some of the memories have been great. So I wanted to do it. So I'm really
glad that you did, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys for doing this. Like I said, I think this is a great thing. And, I hope there's not anyone out there, especially from our unit struggling, but, I feel like if they are, like, listen to these might even help a little bit. And hopefully, if they are listening to them, they hear, I'm sure you guys and myself or anybody else, like, if they are struggling, like reach out. I know it's been 20 something years, but we're all still brothers. We all went
100%.
through a lot together. So if that message gets out there through one of these podcasts and it helps somebody again, I think that's great.
Nice, man. Well,
Appreciate you, man. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.